As men, we like to think we are logical. But watch yourself closely. You see one thing, you feel another, you say something else, and then you act completely differently. We are driven by emotions far more than we admit. So, this is what I learned this week about the 3 deep psychological patterns we are living without realizing. So, in the next few minutes, I am not going to overwhelm you with theory. Instead, I will show you 3 simple psychological facts, or call it behavior, which shape almost everything you do: your habits, your relationships, and most importantly, how you see yourself. By the end of this video, you will realize why your choices are driven by emotion, why you judge everyone else harder than yourself, and why being honest with yourself is the hardest thing you can ever do. Let's get right into it. But before we go into the details, let us clear some key concepts here. Like, what is human psychology? It's simply the study of how we think, feel, act, and make decisions. Well then, what is a psychological fact? It is a pattern of human behavior seen consistently across many people and situations. Now, think about it. Why do these two matter together? Why does psychological facts matter? Because when you understand psychological facts, you can see your own patterns instead of being controlled by them. And in all honesty, this video is just about awareness, not theory. I am not nearly qualified to be teaching you about psychology. I am just a plant breather, but at the end of the day, I'm a human being who wants to grow every single way. You know those moments in life where you think you made a logical decision, but later you realize that it was either your heart or your gut that made the decision for you, but only later you use logic to justify it. And you only catch it after the fact that you have already done it. Does it make sense? Let's make this real. Imagine you are in a restaurant. Your plan was to eat healthy, maybe grilled chicken, some veggies, or a salad, but then someone just beside you ordered a really nice hot and juicy steak. Now instinctively, you're grabbing it. You really want that steak. It looks good, but your plan was to eat healthy, right? Okay, I went for a run yesterday, 5K. Why not I just have this? It's steak, it's protein at the end of the day. You think that decision is logical because you already justified it. In fact, it was emotional. Logic isn't leading here, it's just following. And this is not just about restaurants either. It applies to dating, shopping, and even while making decisions. For example, you see someone attractive, you like them, but you don't just admit that you like them. You start making this rationalization that, okay, we are a good match, and your mind starts making up these points. Or you buy this really expensive camera you always wanted to buy, and you justify it by saying it's on sale. With this camera, I can finally start my photography dreams. It will make me much happier. It will make my life better. You see, you already made that emotional choice to buy that stuff. Only later you make it logical. Now you see, right? Emotions are like the engine that's running us. And logic is just like a passenger, just following what the engine is doing. And psychology backs this up. Antonio Damasio, a neurologist, studied patients with damage to their emotional centers of the brain. These people could list all the pros and cons when making a decision. They could understand facts, weigh the options endlessly, and still they could not make a decision. So now the thing is, facts weren't enough. Knowing something is right or wrong isn't enough to make decisions. Without emotion, even simple decisions become paralyzing. And that tells us something profound. Emotions aren't a bug in our system. They are the core features of how we humans navigate our lives. And here's the thing, most of us refuse to admit it. We like to think of ourselves as logical, rational men in general. But every day, from the choices we make at work, to relationships, and even to the smallest consumer habits when we're trying to buy something, we are always quietly guided by our feelings, and we barely notice them. And that's not a flaw, that's what makes us human. Again, have you ever noticed how it's so easy to spot someone else's mistake, but you never quite see your own, or rarely? It's almost like we have this built-in double standard system or hypocrisy in each and every human being. And the more we try to appear fair or understanding in life, the worse it becomes. Let me explain. Picture this, you are at work and a colleague of yours missed a deadline. You start judging them instinctively, saying, he's not responsible, I think he's doing this on purpose. I think he's not committed to this project, whatever. You rarely try to put yourself in their shoes. And sometimes you share this judgment with someone else just to feel validated. So now imagine yourself in the same scenario. You missed a deadline. Of course, you feel bad. You beat yourself up, but not in the same way. You start telling yourself, it was my sister's wedding. I had this to do. I had that to do. I just messed up. Maybe I'll be better next time. Do you see the difference? Same mistake, same context, two completely different interpretations. And psychologists call this the fundamental attribution error. We tend to attribute other people's actions to their character, but our own actions to circumstances. It's like we're almost hardwired to judge other people very harshly and just let ourselves off the hook. And the really interesting part, we don't even notice we're doing this because what we do feels like reality and what someone else does, not really relevant, right? And this applies even outside of work. For example, you're in the traffic and someone cuts you off, you shout at them, you curse at them, right? But if you were the one that did it, maybe you thought, I'm in a hurry, maybe they'll understand. You see double standards? But the fundamental here is not about feeling guilty. It's about clarity. Once you realize yourself that you are more prone to critically judging someone else, maybe you can start catching it in the moment and changing your approach. Studies in social psychology shows that people consistently overestimate factors like personality or intent in others' behavior and underestimate situational factors. It's almost like this universal bias. But the funny thing is, once you realize this, you can use it as a tool for patience, for empathy, for understanding that everyone, including yourself, is navigating life with their own emotional struggles, reality, emotions, and tangled life. So next time when you're in this situation, be more understanding. Let's be more human. And thank you for hitting the like on this video. Let's just make it 20 likes on this video. Thank you. Now on to the last one. And do not forget to join my Discord to be part of my community. Link in the comment and description. Here is one that no one ever admits, even to ourselves. We are terrified of being completely honest of ourselves with ourselves. And it's not just about what we do, what we want to do, what we want to say, what we feel. So think about it. How often do you make a decision and then afterwards you spend hours justifying it? Like maybe you suck at this job or you don't like it a lot. You're afraid that if you quit, you might fail. Or maybe in a relationship, you feel scary of the fact that someone will leave you. You would rather be unhappy than being alone. We construct entire narratives to make ourselves feel brave, reasonable, or normal. Here is a small example. Imagine you have been putting off a personal project for months and months, or it's just a simple business idea that you really want to implement. Every day you tell yourself, I'll start tomorrow, I'm too busy today, I'm too tired, or like I need to know this certain X factor before I start this. Deep inside, it's that fear for failure. And even worse, you are afraid of confronting that fear honestly. Because it's easier to invent excuses than to face the possibility or the reality of your choices. And psychologists call this self-deception. And it's a survival mechanism. Sigmund Freud and later research in cognitive psychology suggests that our minds naturally protect us from truths that feel too threatening. Turned out it's not laziness, it's defense. But that's on one side. Now here is the paradox. The more we avoid this truth, the more it silently controls us. They shape our choices, our relationships, even our identities, while on the surface, we pretend everything is fine. So the truth is, being honest with yourself isn't comfortable. But once you're honest with yourself, that reward would be enormous and priceless. Once you confront the truths you have been avoiding, like your fears, your failures, your desires, you could possibly reclaim control over your decisions and over your life. Therefore, this is the uncomfortable truth we all avoid admitting. Most of our inaction, our compromises, our daily stress comes not from external sources, but from our own unwillingness to face ourselves honestly. And the sooner we'll do that, life will be so free. So that's it. Now let's do the overview so that everything makes sense. But before we do that, I have something to share. Good news. My membership is live right now. Do not feel shy to support me and be part of my community. Thanks. So let's take a step back and uncover what we have learned today. So the 3 deep psychological patterns we do but we don't admit are 1. Emotions lead, logic follows. We believe we are always rational, but feeling secretly drives most of our decisions. 2nd, we judge others more harshly than ourselves. Our brain creates critical narratives about others that wouldn't apply to ourselves, biasing our views of the world and relationships. 3rd, and the most important, we fear total self-honesty. Denied fears and desires quietly influence us. Confronting them is uncomfortable, but necessary to get that freedom in life. If we want to achieve goals in life, there's something profoundly simple and easy. Systems. When you create systems in such a way that it can automatically achieve goals for you, how can you do that? Simply by watching this video. Feel free to check this video out. See you in the next one.